They say every relationship has a breaking point. But what no one ever tells you is that sometimes the break doesn't come with a scream. Sometimes it arrives wrapped in candlelight, cloaked in kindness, moving slowly, almost tenderly. And when it happens, you don't feel like a monster. You feel awakened. My name is Elena Brooks. I'm 39 and I live in Tucson, Arizona. I run a small artisan bakery just outside the historic district. For most of my adult life, I've been the picture of loyalty, faithful, dependable, ordinary. I've spent the last 12 years with Alex. He's 47, an architect with a calming presence that made people feel at ease. Our life was neat, steady, quiet. But behind the closed doors of our perfectly manicured home was a relationship that had long since faded. We weren't cruel to each other. We had just stopped pretending. The laughter had thinned out. The spark was long gone. We'd become polite cohabitants, acting out affection more from routine than desire. Until one night, he gave me a gift. Not something I asked for. Not something I even know how to describe. It was raining that Saturday, our anniversary. I had closed the bakery early and slipped into a red dress I hadn't worn in years. I was expecting dinner reservations, maybe a toast, perhaps even a quiet apology for all the years we'd let drift away. Instead, I opened the door to candlelight and two strangers. They were already sitting on the sofa across from Alex like they'd been there all evening. Calm. Confident. Both dressed in dark, tailored suits. They sipped scotch like they belonged. Alex stood, greeted me with a kiss on the cheek, and whispered, "Happy anniversary." I froze. Then, carefully, he said, "I want you to feel something again. I've been planning this for months." I didn't understand. And when I finally did, I thought I'd scream. But I didn't. I stood there, heart racing, unsure whether I felt offended or fascinated. The taller one, Marcus, rose first. His voice was deep, steady, warm. "You're beautiful," he said, gently brushing his hand across the small of my back. Then Julian stepped forward. His touch was softer, more reverent, like I was something sacred. My knees weakened. My breath caught. Alex poured me a glass of wine and stepped back, silent, watching. I should have walked away, but I didn't. That night unraveled like a fever dream, hot, slow, surreal. Marcus kissed the back of my neck like he knew every hidden memory written in my skin. Julian kissed my lips like he wanted to steal the breath from my lungs. Their hands moved over me with a hunger, but also with reverence. And I didn't resist. I surrendered. I wasn't a woman starved of affection anymore. I was worshipped. By the end, I was undone. My hair tangled, heart pounding, skin touched in places I'd forgotten could still feel. And Alex? He came over and kissed my forehead like he'd just handed me a bouquet, not completely unraveled our lives. But what he gave me wasn't a gift. It was the start of a fracture. The next morning, I stood under the shower far too long. I scrubbed hard. But no matter how hot the water ran, I could still feel them. Marcus's breath on my neck. Julian's hands at my waist. And worst of all, Alex's steady gaze. Calm. Proud. Detached. At breakfast, Alex hummed a tune while spreading butter on toast. He didn't speak about the night before. Didn't ask how I felt. He just looked up once and said, "You're incredible." As if it were a compliment. As if it wasn't a consequence. But that wasn't the most disturbing part. It was her, Sienna. Alex's daughter from his first marriage. 19. Quiet. Withdrawn. She had moved in just a few weeks earlier after dropping out of college. Always with earbuds in, she moved through the house like a whisper. But that morning, she wasn't drifting. She stood in the hallway, sipping coffee from a chipped mug, watching me. No shock. No judgment. Just interest. Her gaze was sharp, unwavering. She had heard something, maybe even seen something. And in that silence between us, something passed, a flicker of understanding. Later that day, as I folded laundry in the living room, she approached me. "Those men," she said calmly. "They were here for you, weren't they?" I froze. "I heard things," she added, eyes narrowing slightly. I braced for judgment. But what I heard in her voice wasn't disgust. It was something else. Curiosity. You sounded like someone else, she said, sitting beside me. Like a woman who didn't care, who was listening. I finally turned to her. And for the first time, I didn't see Alex's daughter. I saw a young woman standing at the edge of something. A threshold. Her gaze lingered, as if waiting for permission I wasn't ready to give. That night, I found her in my bedroom. She stood at my vanity, holding my perfume, the same one I'd worn that night. She sprayed it, inhaled deeply, and smiled. Turning toward the mirror, she met my eyes in the reflection. I wonder what it felt like, she said softly, to be the center of everything. I said nothing, because deep down, I knew I'd left the door open, and she was already walking through it. In the days that followed, Sienna changed. Her clothes, her posture, the way she walked past me in my old silk robe. She was watching me, mimicking, rehearsing. Then came the night everything shattered. Alex said he had a business dinner. The house was quiet, just me and Sienna, until the door opened around 9 p.m. But it wasn't Alex. It was them, Marcus and Julian. And there, greeting them in the doorway, was Sienna. She laughed, poured wine, tucked her hair behind her ear, with a flirtatious tilt I recognized far too well.
She was performing me.
Then she glanced down the hall, straight at the shadow where I stood. She knew I was watching.
She wanted me to see.
By the time I stepped out of the bathroom that night, the house was silent again. Sienna's door was closed. The wine glasses were gone. And the damage was done. The next morning, Alex sat at the kitchen table. In front of him was a white envelope. He didn't look at me. I sat down. Inside were photographs, grainy, low-res, clearly taken by a hidden camera. Maybe from a smoke detector. They showed everything.
Me.
Marcus. Julian. But beneath those were new ones. Sienna. With them. In the same bed. When I looked up, Alex was gone. Suitcase in hand. The front door left wide open. No note. No goodbye. Just silence. But this time, it wasn't the silence of peace. It was the silence of consequence. Yes, I had torn our marriage apart. But worse, I had become something I never meant to be. A mirror. A teacher. A flame passed to someone far too young to carry the weight of the burn. And now, she wasn't looking for answers.